I appreciate the vulnerability. I think unfortunately in today's day and age, there's this perception, right? Especially with social media that like, hey, like you starting at, you're like, whether you're a contractor, you starting that new business that day one, start something like day five, made it. I think there's just that, the people just believe that it just happens so quick. And for you to be honestly, hey man, look, even if it was an established thing, the first year was not my best, but hey, I had the persistence, I had the grit, and I think that helped propel you to, now where you run your own company. So I guess, how do you think going through those early days helped you and like help you figure out when you were ready to take that leap of faith? Because that's a pretty big leap to take, to go from an established company to now you're building that establishment yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would always say, like, I'm pretty, like, I like to think I'm very self-aware and I'm always very, like, reflective over, like, the things I'm doing. And so even when I had started, at my previous company, like, I always kind of saw myself, like, building something that I could, at the end they kind of put my name on. I do believe in, like, ownership. I do believe that's extremely valuable. So I really, the first, if I think back, the phases I kind of went through, my first phase was like I had to learn to be an advisor and to be and I wanted to, my biggest thing is like whenever I do something, I want to be the best in the world at it. So I had to learn to be an advisor. So after my first year, which, was a lot, at second year, I actually became one of the top advisors in the southern region of the US in my company. So I really, worked hard and again, just from putting time in, I was able to find success there. So I really had to learn how to be a good advisor over the first, I'd say like 2 to 3 years of my career. And I was putting in like 12-hour days, working, in the office by like 7 or 8 and out of the office by like 7 or 8. And then after that, I realized, okay, like I know how to be an advisor, but I don't know how to run my own business because it's very different. And this is something that I often will tell, a lot of people that I, may give advice to or mentor, but like being a professional is different than running a business. Like you can have your license as a doctor, or as a therapist, or engineer, but that doesn't mean you can just go out there and how to be a CTO, a CMO, a COO. Like there are
Right.
many aspects and hats that you have to wear as a business. And it's not just that profession. You have to do your finances, you have to market, you have to sell. There's all these different things. So I realized, hey, I have a gap of knowledge here, business. And so I started to learn. I really started to like, fortunately I got into like a leadership team. I picked up a lot of different books, started learning and a lot from failures as well too. But I learned the aspects of like how to run, my own practice, my own business. And I feel like, even though I didn't, when I was at my firm, I didn't have to build everything from like scratch and make all the decisions. Like everything was kind of just like plug and play. It's kind of like a franchise model almost. Um, I still, the biggest risk I had there was still the financial risk because I had to go and build my own book of business. So like that part, once I knew I could do that, I was like, okay, at least I know I can gain clients. I still
Right.
gotta learn all these other things, but at least I know that, hey, I can like gain clients, I can serve people, and what I'm doing works because I hear the feedback from the people I work with. So I knew that part worked, and I just had to learn the, business aspect, which was, I think it's a lifetime process. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, to be a student for life. And I think too, the other question I had, man, is I think we talked about, to your point, being a professional versus being a business owner. And for some folks, they have experience before they start their own company of managing folks. But for other folks, usually some people, they come from being a phenomenal contributor on a team, like they really crush it, and then they have to learn how to, crush their work and also manage people. So I'm curious, what was it like for you to hone in your own leadership style that you found that's worked for you up to this point?
Yeah, so I follow a very transparent, like just ground level leadership. I really, I could have read every single leadership book out there, but like what taught me best how to manage people is simply managing people. Like when I got my first employees, like I really learned a lot of things and I did not do all the things right. I, was maybe too micromanaging or I would blow up over something or, what have you, or I didn't, properly put together like SOPs and train people well. I just assumed like, oh, this should be like easy just because I was so used to it. So I had to learn a lot about managing people. And, one of the biggest things that I would say has made a difference for me in regards to my management, my skills as a leader and a business owner. A lot of times people ask me like, hey, like, what should I do? What book should I pick up? What should I learn? The best thing to do is to learn about yourself because your capacity to lead is only going to go as far as the capacity to which you grow. And if oftentimes I see people that, they may not be able to have a difficult conversation, which that's not something I was able to do when I first started. I realized this is going to impact my leadership. If I can't tell an employee or tell a client, hey, like, you need to shape things up, I'm not going to be able to lead them well. If I have trouble with my own discipline, I'm not going to be able to, like, I feel like it's lacking integrity to discipline, others and get on someone else's butt about that. So, like, I realize, like, the more I improve myself, the more I get to learn and understand myself, it really helped me as a leader and as a manager and, and a business owner. Yeah.
Absolutely, Kofi. You and I can go on for hours and hours, but I want to be respectful of your time. One final question for you, Bob. When it's all said and done, man, let's fast forward, let's say 25, 30 years from now, even 50 years from now, right? What does Kofi want Zion Capital's legacy to be? And, like, where do you want to take your business?
Yeah, so, absolutely Forbes list. That is definitely a goal of mine. I do want to build one of the biggest practices in the country. And, I've thought around to this concept of, okay, like, will there be a point at which I kind of like throw in the towel or maybe just continue to build a business so it can be a legacy, and continue to serve people. And I've really most recently, I've narrowed down and realized I want to build something that's going to last, beyond my own life. The approach that I take with finances is, very different than a lot of large institutions. I work with, fewer people and do a lot more personalized, customized planning. And a lot of it just surrounds their goals. There's a lot of things I don't like about the financial industry. Like, oftentimes they're, your banker doesn't understand what your goals are. And it's like,
Right.
how can a professional truly serve you if they don't know who you are? And oftentimes there's a misalignment between what the company wants and what the people want that are going to that company. So I really try to build the type of business that I would go to and I would want my family and friends to go to. And I've found that it's really made a huge impact on a lot of lives and people that I work with. And, I kind of see this as like a different way of approaching planning, that can truly, help people, but not just in the financial space, but also with like life as well too. So my goal is to build something that's going to last and build something that can also ultimately really change how millions of people look at personal finance and building wealth.
That's phenomenal, brother. And we look forward to seeing the progress and look back at this episode once you hit those goals. But no, with that being said, we appreciate everyone's time today. I will be sure to have Kofi on again soon. And that's it. Signing off.
So appreciate it, brother.